Welcome everyone to our D2, D3, District 35 Evaluation and International Speech Contests. You are all here because you are functionaries in some way, shape, or form for our contests. We have judges, we have ballot counters, we have timers here today, and we have a sergeant at arms. So I'm going to the ones, so I'll probably go through the information for our sergeant at arms, then our timers and ballot counters. So if you're holding that role, feel free, you can leave or you can stay for the entire duration of the training. If you are a judge, I do ask that you stay, but if you need to drop off, I understand. You'll get the recording afterwards. So in our contest, we will have an evaluation contest, an international contest for D2, evaluation and international for D3. We will use the same contest Toastmaster, Ed Thielen, for both contests. Our Zoom room is going to open at 5:30. We will have a functionary briefing at 5:45. So you have a little bit of time if you wanted to come in, chit chat ahead of time. We will have breakout rooms set up for the contestants, for the functionaries. We'll have a room already designated for the ballot counting for after a contest. And we'll probably have one or two other breakout rooms set up that if, as chief judge, I need to confer with the area directors or something to that effect, we have those rooms ready and available to go. The order of the evening will be D2 evaluation, D2 international. Depending on how everyone is feeling, we will take a short break and we will make the announcement of the length of that break. And then we will move into the D3 evaluation and then the D3 international. Results for all four contests will be at the absolute end of the night. When individuals come into the meeting, everyone is going to be asked to rename themselves with just their first name. So no last names, no credentials, no club name, nothing else, no reference if you are a judge or a ballot counter, unless if you've been instructed otherwise. So I will have mine as Chief Judge Chris Poole, Contest Toastmaster Ed Thielen, Zoom Master Paul Anderson. Everyone else will just simply be their first name. We'll have the contestants have themselves renamed. So it would be like D2 or D3, whichever area they are. And then EC for evaluation contest or ISC for international speech contest. And then they would have S1, S2, S3, which would mean that they are speaker and then their order number for speaking and then their name. So we'll have them make sure that it is properly formatted in the contestants briefing that evening. Everyone will be asked to have their cameras turned off during the contest. Sometimes it just cuts down on that bandwidth. Nobody can see that you're eating your dinner or anything to that effect if the cameras are off. If you are specifically speaking, more than likely it's going to be the contest master and then the test speaker. That the contest master introduces the test speaker, then the contest master turns his camera off, and it's just that test speaker. Same thing then for each contestant. The chat function will be disabled for the duration of each contest. We don't want any comments going back and forth to the different contestants. Ooh, great job, you should win. Why didn't you win? Da, da, da. We'll only have a couple of individuals set up as the host and co-host of that Zoom meeting. So the Zoom master, myself, Ed Thielen, and then our two area directors. So if you do need to talk with someone via chat, those would be the only individuals that you can pick to choose from. Welcome, Amy. Welcome, Christina. Welcome, Lori. Welcome, Elle. I think I said welcome, Bessie, Yuri, Donna, Terry, Scott, and Judy. So I am recording our session. If you wanted to catch what I said before, you can always come back in and watch the beginning portion of it. For our evaluation contest, we will have a test speaker who will speak for 5 to 7 minutes. Once the speaker is done, then Bessie, as our sergeant at arms, will move into a breakout room with the D2 evaluation contestants. The contestants for evaluation, when they start the contest, they will have a blank sheet of paper. So they are not to have anything pre-written on their paper coming into the contest. They are allowed to take notes during the speaker. When they move into that breakout room, it will be 5 minutes of silence, and they can write as much as they want. They can use additional sheets of paper if they choose. When the 5 minutes are up, the notice will be sent into the room, and Bessie will ask for all the contestants to put their papers down, put something over it so they can't see their notes. They are not allowed any electronic note-taking devices. And then each contestant, each evaluation contestant, will be asked to come into the main room, give their speech, and then they can stay in the main room. So during that first contestant, while they're speaking in the first room, the rest of the evaluation contestants with Bessie, the contestants will be asked to just kind of have their hands up near their face in their camera view so that they're not on their phone, they're not on their camera, they're not doing anything to that effect. Oops, hang on. Sorry. It's weird. That's not my phone's not showing anyone actually calling, but it's ringing. Apologies for that. So that'll be one of the suggestions for the contest Toastmaster. Please silence all of your devices at the beginning of this contest. My phone rings twice a week, so it's very unusual. So Bessie will be in that breakout room again, watching the contestants because it's so exciting for this. Once the last contestant is brought back into the main room, Bessie can also come into the main room as well. And then we will, after all of the contestants have finished, between each contestant as judges, you do have 1 minute of silence. You can take notes on your paper, on your ballot, if you're doing electronic note taking as a judge, however you are keeping track of the contestants' information. At the end of all of the contestants for each individual contest, you will have silence until you have submitted your ballot. So if it takes 2 minutes, it takes 7 minutes, you have the time that is allowed. I know I have several individuals here from outside of District 35, and I know that there are some districts who put a time limit on that amount of time the judges have after a contest. I've been to several, well, judges only have 2 minutes to complete their ballot. We do not do that here in District 35. So you do have the time allowed for you to make your proper decisions for your judging. I will be creating a link that you will click on. So you'll have that available on Friday night. You will click on it and it will open up a Microsoft form, and you will enter, you'll type in your name, and then you type in your first place contestant, second place contestant, third place contestant. So you'll have 4 different ballots, and they will be very clearly marked: D2 evaluation contest, D2 international contest, D3 evaluation contest, D3 international contest. So it will be marked very clear. For the ballot counters, I will be receiving all of those electronic responses. Once I have received all of the responses, the ballots from the judges, I will make the announcement to the room that all ballots have been collected. If it is between the D2 evaluation and international contest, the contest master will just adjourn the D2 evaluation contest, move into the D3 international contest. Once the ballots are collected from the D2 international contest, I will move to a breakout room with the ballot counters, and then the contest master will stay in the main room and interview each of the contestants from D2, both evaluation and international. In the ballot counting room with my ballot counters, I will do a screen share so they can see each of the electronic submissions from the judges for second and third place. And then the ballot counters will have their ballot counting sheet. They will tally up the votes. What I have done in the past as chief judge, I will read the ballots. So I will say, Judge Judy, Joe 3 points, Jim 2 points, and Sheila 1 point. So I'll verbally state that information to make it easier than for the ballot counter. Once we've gone through all those ballots, ballot counters tally their votes. If everybody has the same score, we will determine our winner once I look at the timer sheet, if there are any disqualifications for time. If there are disqualifications for time, we will disqualify that person, take them out of the running. If the ballot counters do not come up with the same tally, then we repeat and we review every single ballot again, find out where the error was made until we get an agreement on the scores for all the ballot counters. If there is a tie between any of the contestants, it is only at that time that I will look at the ballot, the tiebreaker ballot, the judge's tiebreaker ballot, and determine their placement for the winners. If we do not have need for the ballot, for the tiebreaker ballot, I do not open it up. I don't look at it. I do not use it. So, and then we'll repeat that process again for the D3. Between the D2 and D3 contests, we'll just take a quick little poll, how long, if anyone wants to take a break, that we'll just state at that time, see how things are going along, if we have a 5-minute break or a 10-minute break. Some people, let's just kind of keep on going. I do expect the total contest to be done no later than probably 8:30, maybe 9, but it should move along quite quickly. The timers are going to show color backgrounds. So we will have for the timers, I'll show the examples here because I'll be working with timers separately. There will be 2 timers. One timer will use the color backgrounds. They will just have this timer card the entire time of the contest. At the minimum time frame, they will show green. Middle of the time frame, they will show yellow, and at the end of the target time frame, they will show the red card. The red will remain up until the speaker has finished. So for the evaluation contest, it will be shown the green at 3 minutes, yellow at, 2 minutes, 2.5 yellow, 3 minutes red. International contest, green will be shown at 5, yellow at 6, red at 7. That minute of silence between speakers, the timer has a specific card for that. After all the contestants are done in a specific contest, we have silence until all ballots are collected and that I come back up and say all ballots have been collected. So as judges, you should not concern yourself with the time. With the virtual environment, I can't talk, you will see the timing cards come up. That should not play anything into how you score a contestant. Just keep that in mind, because if we were at an in-person contest, you would not see the color timing cards. So do not consider time into your scores at all. That is my responsibility as chief judge. I will be looking at the timer reports that are submitted to me, and I will determine if someone is disqualified due to time. As a judge, as we're going through a contest and you lose internet connection. And so now you miss out on a contestant or parts of it. You can reconnect back into the meeting room, but send me an email or a text or a private chat that you have to be disqualified as a judge for that contest because you did not hear all of the contestants. It happens. That's why I have 10 judges scheduled. We only have to have 5. I like having extras just in case something happens. Or the day of, you get sick with the flu, you cannot be online. I get that. Let me know ahead of time. For naming of everyone, I think I'd mentioned this. We're going to have just everyone rename themselves first name only. That's it, unless if you've been instructed otherwise. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns at this point?
Yes, Chris, I do.
Yes.
Could you go over the part where you tell them you want the contestants to keep their hands in view? Would you review that part?
Yes. So Bessie is our sergeant at arms. When she is in the breakout room with the evaluation contestants, once their 5 minutes is done, they can't write or look at their notes anymore. So we're just going to ask that their hands just kind of be placed up in front of their face, that they're on camera, so that she knows that they're not typing or writing more notes or looking down trying to read their notes or anything, that they should just be up in here and just be quiet in the room.
Thank you.
All right. Yuri.
Hey, Chris, excellent information so far. I'm sure this will be mentioned eventually. Just want to mention that for the timer, I believe if they raise their hand, they'll be pinned to the leftmost corner of everyone's screen. I think that normally makes it much easier to see timer. You'll get to it eventually, but I thought I'd just bring it up to mention it as more of a refresher.
Yes, that was described in the contestants briefing. And when I meet with the timers separately again, the timers will do the electronic raise of their hands. So they are always positioned in that upper left portion of the screen. We will be doing a spotlight of each contestant as they are speaking. So we'll have, they should still be able to have that view of the timer. We will have that verification when each contestant is brought on screen. We'll have them check their audio and their video and that they can see the timer. So yes. All right. Did you have another question right now then, Yuri, or no?
I did not. I will go ahead and lower my hand. Thank you.
Okay. Donna?
Yes. Okay, this is something I've not heard before. Is this an aspect of Zoom that as soon as you raise your hand, you go to the left-hand position on the overall screen?
Yes, that is a feature on Zoom. If you do the electronic hand raise, you automatically move to that upper left position.
Oh my God, so you do.
And when you lower your hand, you normally go to a different position. So if multiple people raise their hand, whatever order it went into, it shows up in order from left to right. And that makes, so in different sessions, things like this, then it makes it easier to know what order to call on people as their questions have come up.
I am learning so many things from you. It's phenomenal. Thank you.
Aren't you glad I walked into your peanut
Yes,
Valley meeting?
yes, I am. I'm thrilled. You
All
are,
right.
are a jewel, a treasure.
Christina.
I'm sorry if I missed it, but what exactly is the judge sending you?
Yes. So each judge, I'm going to actually create a Microsoft form and you will each receive a meeting link. So I will designate it. I'll put it in the chat and I'll probably email it to each of you as well. So there will be a specific link for D2 evaluation, D3 international. So they'll be designated out. When you click on that form, you will be instructed to type in your name for the judge's name and then contestant first place, second place, third place. You will type in each the person name for what place they are. I will not pre-populate the ballots with their names. All you do is type in their names. That's it. If there is no contestant, so let's say a contest only has two places, two people, so you'd only have a first and a second. Third place, you will still have to type in NA or none, because I'm going to put it that all the fields are required. And I'll have that instruction on those. If for some reason that the link does not work for you, you can send me an email and just type in the email, do your subject line of D2 evaluation, and then just type in the message, first place, John, second place, Joe, third place, Sheila. And I'm good with that.
And as long as it's coming from
You, yes.
You'll know, like that will
Yes.
replace like the signature, right?
Yes. Some, and each one is a little bit different. One other option that you can do, let me see if I've got the ballot down here or not. Okay, so let me do a screen share briefly. I know I don't have the full form up, but and not everyone is tech savvy to do this, so that's why I want to do the Zoom or the Microsoft form. When you if you are using the electronic form, some people like to do electronic, some like to have it printed out to do all of your different notes. There is a feature in Microsoft, or on mine, it might be on Apple, I'm not sure, called a snipping tool. So when that snipping tool comes up, it will allow you to do new. We click new, and your screen kind of goes gray. And then you can just, so you've got the plus sign for where your cursor is, and you can just highlight a part of your screen, and that is what shows up in that snipping tool window. So you can always do, the snip of the bottom portion of your ballot where you've typed in each name that way. Once you have it on here, you can send it as an email. You can do a right click and copy. Now you can come into email. Come into email, do your compose to Chris. That's the wrong one. So D2 evaluation ballot. And then you can just paste that ballot in there, and that's what I would get.
And where
But
do you
again,
get this? Where do you get this snippet tool? Is it
We'll take that offline because we're planning
Okay.
to use that Microsoft Forms. So we should not need the snip unless if there's some glitch and it doesn't work for you. So we can talk a little bit about that after, Donna.
okay?
All right. Other questions at this point? All right. So we sent out all the both copies of the ballots. There are different ballots for the evaluation contest and international. There is different criteria for what you are judging. You are judging these contestants based on their performance at that contest on Friday. Some of you are familiar with the contestants, some of you may not be. For those who are familiar with the contestants, oh, they did so much better at that area contest. They deserve to be ranked higher. Get that out of your mind. You are judging them based on their criteria, how they perform at that specific contest. The winner will advance to the next level. Review that evaluation or the judging criteria on each ballot. The evaluation speeches that they are giving, you are looking for the analytical quality of the presentation. What is the effectiveness of that evaluation? Is the contestant analyzing the strengths and weaknesses of that presentation, or are they just repeating the whole speech basically? That's not what an evaluation should be. Were the evaluators' comments, were they clear? Were they logical? Did they identify strengths and weaknesses? Recommendations. This is a huge part of the evaluator's job. They point out those strengths and the weaknesses, but then also they should be giving a specific recommendation for improvement. It's nice if they are able to not only just say what the speaker should improve on, but how they can make that improvement. So if the suggestion is you need to improve your eye contact, they are giving a suggestion, that recommendation. But then if they go further, in order to help improve your eye contact, don't have your paper in front of your face, put your paper down in front of you. Have your text. I'm not telling you that you can't use your notes during your speech, but type it up 24 point and double space it. So now it's easy for you to read. Your eyes up here, your paper's down here, but now you can look up and look into your camera, which is your audience. Maybe to improve your eye contact, make a little donut circle out of paper and put it around that camera lens. That's your focal point to talk for your audience. How do you make that improvement? And also, one other thing as you're listening, the recommendations and information, it doesn't all necessarily have to be specific what the speaker talked about today. It should be things that the speaker can do as they continue moving forward as they speak. So the next time they speak again, consider not stomping your foot every other sentence, not playing with the change in your pocket because I'm hearing the jingling. It's kind of annoying. Find a way of putting in rubber bands in your pocket instead of the coins. So it's quiet. You can still have that finger movement in your pocket, but a little bit different concept on there. Technique is something that you are looking at as a judge. This is how the evaluator is presenting their comments and recommendations. Is that evaluator sensitive to the feelings of the speaker, but are they inspiring and encouraging at the same time? You need to move your eye contact. Sometimes, doing that harsh like that, that's not going to come across as inspiring. Keep that in the back of your head. And then also the last part of evaluation on your ballot is that summation, that summary. How did the evaluator conclude their evaluation? Did they quickly re-summarize everything that they just talked about? So different ways of thinking about how you are judging the evaluator. I know sometimes it can be difficult to make that frame of mind different of listening to evaluate versus listening to judge. And this is an extra thing to think about. So you are not evaluating or judging that test speaker. It's up to the contestants. But as judges, you should be paying attention to the test speakers because you are kind of forming your own evaluation of that test speaker. And sometimes then that will help you. Did the evaluator touch on things that you might have talked about? So you need to pay attention to that test speaker so that the comments the evaluator is making make sense for that test speaker. All right. Does that make sense? Questions, comments, concerns? All right. The international speech contest. You are judging based on content, delivery, and language. How is that speaker putting their information together? Is it in a way that the audience understands it? Is the speech structured around a specific purpose? Is there a clear body or a clear opening body and conclusion? I said earlier, you should not be paying attention to the timing within that speech, even if they are under time. Did they have a beginning, a middle, and an ending of that speech? I had one contest, I was the chief judge in it. The person spoke only for about 1 minute. And they did not have a clear opening, body, and conclusion. They said, "Hi, I'm here, and I just forgot what I want to talk about, so I'm not going to do anything else." And they walked off the stage. There was not a clear opening and a body and a conclusion, even on that couple of sentences. One judge put them in first place. They were disqualified due to time. Do not put any of your personal preferences for any particular speaker. That's part of that judge's ethics that you are signing. We are looking for the best speaker, not your best friend. You want to look for the development of the speech. Does it engage the audience right away? Is the speech effective? Were you able to figure out what the purpose of that speech was? Was the speech, the content, appropriate for this type of an audience? This one is a hard one to kind of gauge because everyone will have their cameras off, that you won't be able to see their reactions. So it's kind of hard to rate. Was the audience's interest held by the speaker? Think of it was your attention held by that speaker. Content, part of the content is your speech value. Did the speaker actually say something meaningful? Was it original to you as an audience member? Were their ideas important? And just because they're important or serious doesn't mean it can't be funny and humorous. We have the physical delivery of that speech. So we are all on camera. The speaking stage is the confines of their speaking frame of their camera. During the contestant briefing, we did tell everyone it is probably preferable to not have any Zoom background, because you can have your gestures, your body just kind of disappear off screen, which can have a negative effect on you as that judge. You shouldn't really take into those technical difficulties, or those technical issues as part of your judging, but it does have an impact. Contestants have the option to either sit or stand, whatever they decide for their speech, but we did recommend that they are in a room, just a plain background, that they have that room. So again, you can see their body fully as they are speaking. If they do leave and go off camera, I decided to go off camera to give my speech. It is not a disqualifying factor, but you as a judge can decide to mark them down because they are not staying on camera, they're not staying in view, anything like that. We will be testing their audio and video, so they should have clear connection going through. But how did they use their voice? Are they talking really loud, or are they leaning in? They're whispering to get your attention. How are they able to use that and engage you as an audience member? And then, are they showing the enthusiasm, the assurance, the confidence in what they are saying to you? There's a section about the language on that ballot, the choice of words that they have chosen to use. Is it relational to you as an audience member? The correctness of the language. This is directed to what the speaker says, not how it is said. Proper use of grammar and correct pronunciation will show that the speaker is the master of the words being used. Yes, we are always looking for the correctness of language used, but put in mind the context of what's being said. If the speaker is talking about they did a nephew day and took the nephew out to the zoo, who's 3 years old, you don't expect a little 3-year-old to say, "Excuse me, Auntie, I need to use the restroom facilities. May I please be excused?" No, you've got a 3-year-old, Auntie, I gotta go potty now. Please, 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 can you take me? Take into consideration the context of the words that are being used. So when you are done, between each speaker, again, you have 1 minute, make whatever notes that you want. At the end of each specific contest, you will then finish your tallying. Each ballot, it has a guideline of numbers from Toastmasters. Feel free to use those numbers to determine your first, second, and third place contestants. If you want to use happy faces, sad faces, check marks, minuses, plus signs, whatever you want to use, it is your method to determine who is going to be your first, second, and third place winner of that specific contest. Let's see. If, as you are typing your ballot, again, you'll type in your name as the judge's name line, one name on first place contestant, one name on second place, one name on third. If you decide, oh, on my score, and I got a tie between Joe and John, I'm just going to put Joe and John both on for first place. Your ballot is disqualified. If you put down Joe is first place, that will be disqualified. We only want the contestant name. There are different reasons if any contestant should be disqualified. So as a judge or a contestant, protests can be made and disqualifications can be made on a contestant. Some of the reasons that a person could be disqualified is the eligibility of that speaker. So between the contest master, the area directors, and myself as chief judge, we are reviewing the eligibility of each contestant to make sure that they have paid their dues and their club has paid dues. For any contestant in the international contest, we will be verifying if that speaker has either earned an DTM, if it was from the traditional education program, or if they've earned a level 1 and 2 in any path and pathways right now. Sometimes it has come up, I've heard stories on this one, that if a judge is not familiar with that individual speaker, that they're going to protest because they're not qualified. That they don't have this stuff because they've never seen this contestant before. So if you have a protest, you'd send a note to me and you would tell me who the contestant is and why you are protesting them. And then I could come back and say, well, this person's a 3-time DTM. They just moved here from Kansas City. They're transferring, they're a new member in 35. They are eligible. So we would go through, if any protests are raised, then I will talk with the individual person who brought up the protest, figure out if it is something that we need to make more decisions on, or if I make a decision right off the bat. If when we get into some of the other disqualifying factors as originality, it may end up being a situation where we bring in the contestant and all the judges, have a discussion, and then the contestant would leave and the judges would make a new determination if there is a disqualification or not. Another way a contestant could be disqualified is originality. 25% of a contestant's speech can be someone else's material. So it does not have to be original to that speaker, but they should be citing the sources. Specifically, though, in both contests, but it happens more in the international. Contestant number 2, speaker number 2 comes up. All right, John did a really great job talking about this stuff in his speech, but I don't agree with it. So I'm going to talk to you about my perspective on the same topic. That's a disqualifying factor. You cannot reference another speaker in that same contest or their material. In regards to what exactly is 25% of that speech, you have to make your own determination. There is no specific 25% in mind. If you have heard the speaker give that same speech or close to that same speech at the club level, at another club level, that's still original to the speaker. They don't have to come up with a brand new speech at each level of competition. The originality comes in, hey, speech that John gave, I heard, Darren LaCroix, I watched one of his old videos from 1985. That's basically his entire speech. That is a question for discussion for potential disqualification for originality. We talked about referencing that other contestant or their speech. Another disqualifying factor is the timing. As judges, you should not pay attention to the time, but if they are over or under their target speaking time by 30 seconds, when I see that timer's report, I will look at that and then make the determination if they are disqualified due to time. Another disqualification, again, has nothing really to do with you as judges, but if a contestant misses the briefing, so we had a briefing earlier today, and we will have a short briefing on Friday night, which is when we will determine the contestant speaking order, will confirm their audio and video. If they miss that briefing as well as tonight's, if they arrive to the contest, so the official contest will open at 6:15. Scott, our area 2 director, will open up, say a couple of welcoming comments, and then he will introduce our contest Toastmaster, Ed Thielen. If the contestant has missed the briefings, but they show up at the contest before Ed is introduced, if they are a D2 contestant, they would be allowed to compete, but they do not get any extra time for any briefings. Their paperwork had to have been previously submitted. During the speaking, this contestant speaking briefing, they will pick the order of the speakers. If that contestant is not there, they will still be put in for that speaking order. So a contestant who did not attend the briefing could be chosen as speaker number 1, speaker number 2, whatever it is. If they show up before the contest Toastmaster, they go into that speaking slot. They will not just automatically be put at the end of the rotation. Sometimes, because this has happened, judges should not be doing this, but sometimes there's this, myth that if the speaker is first or last, that's a better position for speaking. Don't let speaking order influence you at all in your judging at all. All right. If you do have a protest on that electronic Microsoft form for your ballots there will be a spot for you to check mark. Do you have a protest? Check yes or check no. That's how I'll be notified. And then I'll get in touch with you. All right. What happens if I think I mentioned, if you yourself lose internet connection, send me a note that when you are able to reconnect, you have to disqualify yourself from that contest. Because if you're not able to have heard every single contestant in that contest, you cannot honestly judge them. All right. Questions, comments, concerns?
Hi, Chris. My question about if they use a virtual background like the one you have right now, and with that, sometimes the hands can kind of disappear. If they do that and the hand contributes to the overall delivery, and it's because they decide to use that kind of background, it kind of negates that the delivery. It's something I can use to mark them down on that.
Yes, you as a judge, you make that determination if that would bring down your score.
Okay.
Judy.
What is the time frame of if the contestant has a internet disruption? How's
Okay.
that?
Yep. So if a contestant loses connection, they're in the middle of their speech and they drop off. Just had this at work the other day. We were in the middle of a conversation. They lost internet connection. If the contestant, so as chief judge, I will say we're stopping the timing and we're just going to wait, see if the contestant can reconnect. The contestant will have up to 3 minutes to reconnect into the meeting. If they can reconnect within 3 minutes, that contestant will continue forward with their speech. They need to pick up within a sentence of where they dropped off. They will not restart again. If it takes them longer than 3 minutes to reconnect, then we will have the next contestant begin. The contestant who had dropped off, what they would restart, and they would slip into the last speaking spot then. But will still need to pick up where they left off. So hopefully everyone is in a good spot for internet connection. Nobody's in their car. Oh, wait, I have to drive to a different parking lot so I have a better connection. Hopefully none of our contestants will do that. But I have seen that happen as well.
Chris, is that
Yes.
the 3 minutes? Is that in the?
Nope, that is my time frame that I am setting up to give guidance to everyone.
All right, that makes sense. That makes
Yep.
sense. But I do know TI had Zoom material that is not included in the contest rule. So I was wondering if that's where it was. That's all.
Yeah, nope, I just came up with that random because to me, that's a good time frame to try and reconnect in.
Right. Makes
But
sense.
if somebody has to restart their entire computer, I know that takes me at least 8 minutes. We're not waiting that long to happen.
Right.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Donna.
What happens if they just freeze? Don't lose connection,
Yep.
but they freeze.
So if they freeze, the timing will still continue for them because sometimes it'll just freeze for a few seconds. If there are technical issues along that line, the timer will still keep timing, show the green, yellow, and red at the normal time frames. But when I get that timer report, if it's for that contestant who had glitches, they will get an extra 30 seconds before they would be disqualified. But their timing cards will still be the 5, 6, 7, or the 2, 2.5, and 3. So nobody will know that except for me and the timers then. But they get an extra 30 seconds before they were disqualified.
But if they're frozen, they're not going to see the timing cards.
Usually, though, if they're frozen, it's only for a couple of seconds. But if they know that they're frozen, they're going to have to get off the call and reconnect in. That's where we know that they have dropped and they have disconnected, we stop the timing. So as judges, you are not to be concerned with any of those issues. That's for me and the timers. All right. Other questions, comments, concerns?
If I may, I got another one going back to an earlier time. You said that the Zoom would open at, I've got down here 5:30 Central Time.
Yep, the Zoom room will open at 5:30 Central Time. So and it will only be at that time contestants and functionaries coming in, and then they will be moved immediately into their appropriate breakout rooms. All the judges, ballot counters, timers, attendees, everyone should be renamed as just their first name. No credentials, no club name, no district information. And then contestants will have their own naming information. So between 5:30 and 5:45 is when you should plan to arrive. 5:45 will be another brief functionary meeting. So if there are any last minute questions or issues that have come up, we will answer that. At 6 o'clock is when regular people, all the people coming to support our contestants, that's when they will be let into the main Zoom room and be asked to rename themselves first name. Terry.
How many contestants do we have for each contest?
As of right now, what I know, in the D2 contest, we have 3 for evaluation, 3 for international. And the D3, I believe we only have 1 contestant for evaluation and 3 contestants for international. But I will reconfirm that. James, do you have other?
Let me double check my numbers here.
Okay. So they'll be getting the speaking order will be picked on Friday night, and we will share that information at the start of the contest with you.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Sorry.
Anything?
I'm gonna pull that up and I'll provide it.
Yep, and we can do
Sorry,
that offline.
Bad memory. Yep, thanks.
Yep, that's fine.
It's not, I don't need like, I don't need like, I was just curious.
Right, for how, because technically we could have 8 contestants for evaluation for D3 and 8 for international D3. We have nowhere near that. So
Okay.
it's not
I
going to
was
be a real
curious how
super
many
late.
people- I don't need an exact number today. I was just curious.
Okay.
Thanks.
But yeah, okay. All right. Anything else?
One other
So-
quick question.
Yep.
The rule that you have here, if a person is not available at the time of the drawing, their name will be a part of the drawing and they will speak at that time. Is that in the contest rule book or is that another Chris Pool?
That is a determination that the area director, myself, and our contest master and our contestants brought up or decided at our contestant meeting. One of the contestants specifically asked that oftentimes judges seem to have that preconceived notion, first place and last place of speakers are preferred placements. And his concern is if someone comes in late, that he's been in numerous contests that if somebody misses the order of the speakers that being drawn, that they just automatically get put in to be the last speaker. He was concerned about that, so we made that determination. We will add their names in for that speaking order right away.
Like that. Okay, thank you.
Amy.
Since D only has 3 areas, first and second move on to division, correct?
Correct. First and second place will move on to the division contest.
Okay.
All right, Yuri?
Yes, I'm not sure how important this is, but if a contestant mentions their club name or their achievement in the pathways, I would think that it's not something we need to give too much thought when kind of judging.
It should not be, I mean, it's not a disqualifying factor. It is, they shouldn't be bringing it up, but if they do in their speech, that's what they do. Maybe they are talking about why they joined Toastmasters and the progress that they've made over the years, and this is where they are now. They should really not be mentioning their clubs because we don't announce what club they belong to before they speak. Although some of us know whose clubs they belong to. But it shouldn't be, I should not have my background saying Cream City Communicators and really promoting that at all. Should not be happening. But that if you as a judge you can mark them down a little bit, but it is not a disqualifying factor. All right, and then looks like James put a comment in there that yes, we have 3 contestants for international, 1 for evaluation for the D3 contest. So it'll be a quick night. I say quick night, relatively quick night. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, hearing none, I adjourn our functionary briefing. I want to thank each and every one of you. I will send out the link if you want to listen to it again. Maybe you missed the first couple of minutes. You just want to listen to that. Maybe you just want to hear my voice as you fall asleep. I don't know. Or you get the email, just hit delete. I'm stopping recording now.